This is literally just Gossip Girl. I just didn't understand this school. It's a good book, but it's not that difficult. Now, if she was reading War and Peace, maybe. The Iliad, maybe. What was this book? What is this? I'm so confused. All right, you guys, I am back from a chaotic day, back from rehearsal, still have my leotard on, and I have got to rant about a book I just read, finished yesterday. Because if I don't get this out of my brain, I can't move on to another book. I'm like that sometimes. I just have to get the thoughts out and then I can move on. I picked up a book that, admittedly, I was not likely to enjoy, but I like to suspend my preconceived notions. I like to go into a thing thinking this should be able to work for me, even if it's not my genre, even if it's not my target demographic, like if I'm not the target demographic, if I'm too old, quote unquote, to enjoy something, that's not a thing. It shouldn't be a thing. I should always be able to enjoy any type of literature as long as it's done well. Doesn't matter, it could be a children's book and I should be able to enjoy it, even when I'm like 80. But this was not the case for this book. I had heard about Elin Hilderbrand. Hilderbrand? Sure. I've heard her name pronounced Ellen, don't know. This is my first foray into her work. I've always seen her books, and her books have always confused me because they're like those weird beachy covers, but then apparently they're thrillers, I think. They're like mysteries. I don't even know what her brand is, but I digress. She wrote a book that a lot of the, let's say, young girly pop booktubers have, you know, read and are talking about. And let's say they're in their early 20s, and I am not in my early 20s. I'm, some would say 29. And so I still was like, I should be able to like this because from what I heard about the book, it was, you know, set at a boarding school, a little mystery, lots of characters. That's really all I knew. Although I should have known that I was not going to like this book based solely upon the fact that one of the pros that one of these people mentioned was the fact that Elin Hilderbrand's daughter wrote it with her. And so that made it so that the language was very accurate to the generation that was represented, aka I believe Gen Z. I don't know when Alpha came in, so could Gen Z Alpha cusp, let's say, although maybe not. I think it's Gen Z. And so the book that I read was The Academy by Elin Hilderbrand and her daughter Shelby Cunningham. And this is a book that should not have been written, or probably should. I mean, you can write a book with your daughter and like not publish it. I don't think this should have been published. I think it was actually garbage. Sorry to say, it made me think, am I losing brain cells? And I'm sorry if you like Elin Hilderbrand. I don't know why you clicked on this video because I'm pretty sure I titled it something like, I hated this book. But this is a story about these teens and the teachers slash the principal that are at this school in New England, I believe, called Tiffin. And the whole school has been shook up because the school they've been in their like school rankings with all the other, you know, prestigious boarding schools in America. They've been ranked pretty lowly in the past, and this year in particular, it's crazy because they got the number 2 spot. They've jumped up like, I want to say 17 spots, something like that. And so there's of course a lot of hullabaloo. A lot of the kids are like, whoa, we're going to a top tier school that will, because if they go to a top tier, like number 2 boarding school, then of course the colleges will be more likely to accept them. And the parents are like, yay, we want to send our kids here. And the teachers are like, whoa, I work for a school that's number 2. And so that's one aspect of the plot. Another aspect is the fact that there is this like app called Zip Zap that is basically like Gossip Girl, and it's telling all of the students and the faculty secrets, and yeah, they're trying to uncover who did what. Just letting you know, the actual, like, who is running this, you know, underground app that's butting into everyone's personal lives, that was it was such a letdown. It was so underwhelming that it's almost not even worth mentioning the fact that the Zip Zap thing is a plot line. But I guess now I'll just go into all the things that this did wrong. Let us count the ways. So, well, okay, let's do something that it did right. I think I could enjoy Ellen's other works because I think that she writes well. I think that it's nothing to phone home about, but it's very readable. It's that kind of book that you're like, ooh, what happens next? Like, as I was reading this book, I hated what Shelby contributed to the book. I actively disliked those sections, but I did want to know what was going to happen next, especially with the adults. So, like, there is the principal, I think her name's Audrey, but it's spelled A-U-D-R-E, which I'm not familiar with that spelling. There's a lot of weird spelling in these books, in this book, with the characters' names. There's also a lot of characters, so if you don't like books with several characters in a third-person perspective, you probably won't like this. I think that there was some juicy goss when it came to the teachers, but when it came to the students, ooh, that's a different story. Let's just talk about some of the students, why don't we? So there is the Queen Bee, if you will, Davy Banerjee, and she is like an influencer. She has 1.3 million followers on TikTok. Another thing I vehemently dislike, because I don't do TikTok, so I don't like any mention of it in my literature. You could barely call that literature. In my novels. I don't like mentions of that. This is a very current novel. It's very, like, when we look back at this book, we'll be able to go, oh, that's so very 2020, like 2023, 2024, 5, you know, etc. She has final say on what is in and what is not. She has lots of hangers on. There are lots of references to Mean Girls, with her being Regina. And then she's kind of like juxtaposed with Charlie, the new student, Charlie Hicks. And she has come to the school to take somebody else's spot because of what happened to them in the last year. And she's kind of like the outsider. She's, if we're gonna do Mean Girl references, she's like the Katie, the catty Heron. But the thing is, she doesn't care what other people think. So that was her whole thing. I didn't dislike Charlie's character. She wasn't enough to make me like this book. Although I will say that she did get on my nerves a little bit because we're supposed to think she's so smart and so well read. But I just didn't like the ways in which we were told these people were, you know, certain tropes and archetypes. Like, she's so smart. We saw her, the first time we see her, I think, she's reading The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. And don't get me wrong, I love The Night Circus. It's a great book. But I wouldn't say that anyone who reads that book is well-read or super brainy. It's a good book, but it's not that difficult. Now, if she was reading War and Peace, maybe. The Iliad, maybe. But it's not like she was reading a bunch of classics. So I think it was a very low bar when it came to describing Charlie's intellect, as opposed to juxtaposed with like all the other students. Oh my gosh, and also Davy, because these are teens and they're trying to go to college, I'm talking about the SATs and the ACTs and all the vocab words, and Davy did abysmally in her vocab portion of, I don't know which test it was, but let's say the SAT. And so her inner monologue is basically talking about all of the words that she needs to learn, and that it gets a little old. And then when it comes to, I mean, there's a bunch more of the students that we follow. Like, I can't even tell you how many because there's so many perspectives. And then we have the faculty, and of course there's Audrey, the head of the school. There's Cordelia Spooner, which is like her right hand woman who has like some sort of secret when it comes to her love life. And then there's, oh my gosh, there's the two new teachers. Now, these two new teachers, their stories are kind of interesting. Kind of. We have, what was her name? Not Meredith. Simone. Simone, who is from Canada. Quebec, Canada. So she's very French. And she is the history teacher, but she's not good at history. Like, it just was like all of these teachers who just were pretty bad, honestly. I just didn't understand this school. Like, why there's Audrey hires Simone to be the history teacher, knowing that she wanted to apply to be the French teacher. And then she's like, we don't need a French teacher. Can you teach history? She's like, sure. Okay, interesting vetting process. So we have her, and she's this 20-something, like 24-year-old, who I'm like, okay, 24-year-olds teaching. I know it happens. I know that there are 24-year-olds who teach, but it just seems crazy to me, having been 24 and knowing that I could not have done that. No. I mean, I teach ballet, but I could not teach teenagers in school. No, thank you. But she's one of the new teachers, along with Rode Rivera, who is this author. He's written a couple books that didn't do terribly, but didn't do great. And he's reeling from a relationship that kind of combusted in the past. And he's like, I need a new start, fresh start. Let's go to this school and teach some English lit. And so he's like 40. So there are a lot of characters. And okay, here's the thing. Simone will be ogled by like every single character in this, not every single, a lot of the characters in this novel. Doesn't matter what age or what gender. And see, I'm even looking on the jacket flap to be like, okay, what is the plot of this book? Even though I read it and I know what happens, but I can't tell what this book is actually about, because what it's actually about is very thin. So I'm just like, I mean, they're at a school and they have the number 2 spot and that's it. But I think the main problem with the story is that when we do find the plot and like the secret minus the zip zap stuff, we don't get anything. Like, there is another character, a teen named Dub Austin, and he's this super fancy football player, and well, not fancy. He's the third boy of 4, and he's not the best in the land, in his house, at playing football. And so he ends up going to Tiffin to differentiate himself because their football team is horrendous, but they do start winning in this book. And he had a girlfriend prior, and his girlfriend has left him some secrets. And you would think that we would get some answers and like what happens in this book. Like, what's the secret? What did she leave him? What does it say? And if you think we get any answers to that like cliffhanger, that secret, that actually interesting thing, no, we don't get that. Because apparently this is book number 1 in a series. A series. What? This is literally just Gossip Girl. This is just petty little dramas, and, oh my goodness, did you see who was sleeping with whom and who did what to that person? It's so vapid, vain, vacuous. It's all those V words. The other main thing I hated about this book was just reading all the characters talking. Because I will open it up to a random page and I will tell you what slop I had to read. Oh, I just opened up a page to something that I think is actually not correct. And a Gen Z character was saying, millennials are sensitive. They're the ones who got all the trophies. What? I'm a millennial. I don't remember getting any trophies. We didn't get participation. No. I don't remember that. If you are a fellow millennial, albeit probably older than me, because I'm a young millennial, if you remember getting participation trophies and having people care about your feelings, my mom didn't give a crap about my feelings. No disrespect to my mom. But I think that's black people. Black parents don't care about your feelings. I just don't remember that happening. That's just me, though. Of course, when I try and find an actual passage where there's some inane dialogue, I can't find it. But trust, is really bad. I guess the saving grace is the fact that I guess Ellen wrote the adults and Shelby wrote the children. So when we're with the adults, quote unquote, it's more bearable. But yeah, this is just a year in this school, and it just made me think, why are we lowering the standards for the youth? Because I don't know who this book is aimed towards. I don't know if it's aimed towards adults or if it's YA and young adults, like late teens. With the subject matter, I would hope not, because there's just a lot of sex in this. Or, not a lot of sex, just a lot of sexual ideas and topics. And it's a little weird. I just can't help but think this doesn't seem serious. Like, just the trendy talk and the references to culture, I just don't believe that this is a book. I don't know. Guarantee most of the people that watch my channel haven't read this, because I don't read books like this usually. But if you have read it, let me know. Did you feel like it was just not a real book, not serious at all in any way, shape, or form? Because if you did, I commiserate. I will be spoiling something right now just to talk about a plot point. So if you don't want to listen to this spoiler, if you wanted to read this book, skip to this timestamp. So Charlie meets Andrew East, who is this 19-year-old forever high school student who is there because he keeps on flunking out of other places, and his father just wants him out of the way, and his father's rich, so he's like, here, just stay over there and, you know, get by. He doesn't do any schoolwork, but apparently he is a genius. He's so smart, but that's mostly, I think, because he's 19. He's repeated every grade over. And so Charlie and Andrew hit it off, because he's like, you're not like the other girls, and he found this basement level in one of the dorms, and he's decided to turn this into a speakeasy because, you know, apparently teenagers need to have a place where they can get drunk, but sophisticatedly. That's what makes it all the better. And while this is happening, he is trying to get, whenever somebody comes close to figuring out what he's doing, he'll try to, you know, pivot and control the situation. And so at some point, Simone, the teacher of history, ends up getting down to the basement, and to distract her, he ends up kissing her. And Simone is 24 and Andrew is 19, so she's like, he's not that far away from my age. And Rode, the English teacher, is 40, so she's like, ew, 40 is gross. And so she decides she would rather go after a teenager. She becomes obsessed with this teenager. And I don't know, I just hated that plot line. I just really hated it. It was so bad. I know we're not supposed to like Simone, but then it just became like Simone just being the villain just to be the villain. And it just all seems so unrealistic. Like, why would he like Charlie just because he sees her and she doesn't have makeup on? Is that why? I don't know. I really don't know. Just because she has a book in her hand? There's no reason for anything in this book. Ugh. And then at the end, when things are trying to wrap up, we just end up firing teachers. Like, Simone gets fired because what was she doing? She ended up getting recorded by Andrew, talking about everything she had done with him and how inappropriate she acted. Because that's the thing. Even if she's like, he's 19, he's legal, but you're still in a position of power. So I don't know where Simone got off thinking that she was going to do what she was going to do. But he records her, and then he sends it to teachers, and Audrey's like, you can't be here and do that. I'm sorry, you got to get gone. So they just end up firing her, and then Cordelia, her whole thing was that she was a lesbian, And for whatever reason, in 2025, that wasn't like a, ooh, was not accepted. I don't know why that was a relevant plot point for her. It just doesn't seem very, again, realistic. But she, or was it Honey? I think Honey, no, it was Honey. Honey was Cordelia's lesbian lover. And Honey came on to Simone because apparently everybody loves Simone. Simone's just so hot. And so she ends up getting dismissed. So it's just like every teacher, all the teachers got dismissed. The Zip Zap person was just like summarily taken away. Like it was just the least dramatic thing. Like that should have been the big crescendo, but it wasn't. It was just, oh, we found him, we caught him, bye. It just seemed weird that it was structured like this. And then at the very end, you want to know what Cinnamon, because Cinnamon is the dead girlfriend of Dub. Oh, and Dub has a secret too. We all know that Dub's secret is that he's gay. We know that. He has a crush on his best friend, Hakeem. We know this. It's written on the wall. But Cinnamon, his girlfriend, his deceased girlfriend, has sent him an email saying, don't open this until 2027 when you graduate. And for some reason, he's taking her advice and he's actually doing it. And I'm just like, the only thing I wanted to know in this book was what was inside that email. And you know what we don't find out? What was inside the email? I will not be reading book 2. You can't make me. What was this book? What is this? I'm so confused. Why did I read this? Anyway. So that is The Academy by Elin. That was The Academy by Elin Hilderbrand and Shelby Cunningham. A mother-daughter duo that didn't need to be published. Although they did, so that's cool. Good for them. Let me know, have you enjoyed other Elin Hildebrands? Are they good? Because I see those covers and I go, those look interesting, but they look like romances, but apparently they're not. And yeah, also let me know, what is this books category? Who is this for? Is it for the young 20s? But if you wanted my opinion on whether or not this is a good book, obviously you know I don't think so. It was a 1 star. I didn't like it. I don't recommend it to anyone. And yeah, now I can get on with my reading journey. I'm reading The Double by Fyodor Dostoevsky. Take that, Charlie Hicks. Night Circus. Anyway, thank you for watching, if you did. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.